It's the Logan Power Show. Inspirational and motivational. It's the Logan Power Show. Informational to help you grow. Logan Power Show.
And now the host, Calvin Logan.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Logan Power Show. It's me, your host, Calvin Logan, and I'm live here at the Logan Power Show studios, and I am excited for another episode of the Logan Power Show. As you know, we're up to about 660 plus shows. So this is show number 661. We're on our 8th year strong, so we definitely want to thank the Lord for his blessings, bringing us here and keeping us moving forward. So I want to bring a first-time guest to the Logan Power Show. He's the one and only Dr. Kevin Wilbon. How you doing, sir?
Hey, good morning. Glad to be here. Thank God. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Glad to have you here at the Logan Power Show. Looking good in the studio. I see you back there. Looking great back there, I see.
I'm trying to look like you, man. Look at all your videos. You got all them suits on and everything. I said, let me go on and try to step up my game a little bit.
Well, like I said, for me, I always try to stay humble. God's brought me a long ways. But let's focus on what you got going on. Our main focus on today, go over a couple things, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Kevin Wilbon is going to be talking about mentoring young people, his belief that having education is a key to long-term success. Also focus on his books and writing and why he's still writing. And right now he has, at this current time, a book that is already published and 3 more on the way. So that's definitely something that to be proud of and something to look forward to. So let's talk about what you got going on, sir. The floor is yours. Just talk about first success in young people. I know our young generation, Generation Z, millennials, they see life different. So tell us, what's that about?
Well, I think that's about, us, saying the older generation is not actually sitting down and talking to the younger generation. If we sit down and we talk to them and listen to them, and we'll probably will understand where they're coming from. The first thing come out of our mouth is, we didn't do that back in the day. This is how things was back then. Times change, and that's why they're millennials. Things change. Just like when we came up, our parents had certain things and certain ways of doing things, and we wasn't trying to, do the same thing they were doing. So they had to sit down, talk to us, and let us know, exactly what's going on. But the difference in the world today is like, these kids, they just don't have regard for authority, like they did back then, in the day. So it's up to us to, to get out there, reach out, talk to these, the younger generation, and let them know that, we understand, change is hard or whatever, but, at, one time or another, you're going to have to change, because when you get older, the next generation is going to come, after you, and it's going to be the same thing. It's like a cycle. So, it's up to us to sit down and talk to the younger generation, and try to get on the same page. But of course, we're not going to, agree with everything that they're doing, and they're definitely not going to agree with everything that we're doing. But, it's kind of like a, give and take and a compromise situation. So, that's the problem with, what's going on with the younger generation today.
You make a great point. Compromising. Now, when does a compromise become sort of like a fault? And what I mean by that, you see a lot of the younger people, like you mentioned, the generation, things have evolved. Now, if you think about, Generation Y, millennials, things have really changed. Baby boomers, you got your Y, you got your millennials, and you have your Zs. Majority of the people that's in that Y category are sort of like in that leadership fold. They're the next ones up. The baby boomers are about to go off into the sunset. The millennials are going to be sort of like that foundational middle gap. And then you have our Z's pretty much, the answer is there, but you got to decipher it. But you mentioned compromise. When does a compromise become, this is the rules and like you got to hold accountability? When does that become sort of like I guess not like a gray area, but a black and white in your personal perspective?
Well, my personal perspective on that is, when it comes to a point, when it gets to a head, my thing is, you can't wait. You have to actually sit down and go over things like right now. And it starts from home. It starts from home. You talk to your kids, you let them know exactly what's going on, and you give them, the do's and don'ts, and the whys, and my thing is, if people do that, they take time to do that, collectively, everybody will come to a head where they know what they're supposed to do and what they're not supposed to do. I really don't put a time frame or, an age on that. Like I said, I really think that it starts at home. And once you do that, it should set a foundation for, what these kids need to do when they're out there, but, the problem is right now, most of these parents are acting like they're the children, and the children are acting like they're the parent. So, we have to actually, put our foot down and let them know, this is how it's going to be. And when we do that and set that foundation for them, the things should be good. Of course, you're going to have your little temper tantrums and, I'm not going to do this and I'm not going to do that. But, I do believe in old school training. I believe in old school methods. It doesn't have to necessarily be, whoop them and all that stuff like that. But you let them know, I am the parent, you are the child. And, it goes from there. If we do that, then I think things will, be straight.
Got it. Now, moving on to my second question, I think you made some good points there. You mentioned education's long-term success. Now, you're going to have a lot of arguments when it comes to this Generation Z because they look at education as sort of a roadblock from them getting to where they need to get to, because you see a lot of people posting, I've gotten to success, I didn't go to college, the way the world is set, having a college degree is like having a high school diploma, because some jobs are saying like, well, that's just the basics. I'm looking for people who got master's degrees, doctorals, or you got so much experience, or you got people who are saying like, well, why would I want to be this profession when I can just get a certification and not even compete? So when you mention education and long-term success, how are you able to sort of decipher that in today's society when it seems like it doesn't hold no weight?
That is a excellent question. Excellent question. And I'm laughing about that because me and my son was having a conversation about that. My 25-year-old son was having a conversation about that the other day. My thing is this, okay? School is not for everybody. I'm not going to sit there and say, you know what? You should and have to go to school. My thing is, it gets you in the game. When I talk to these kids here, I say, education is the education. You can't go wrong with that. That's something they cannot take away from you. A certification is a certification. A certification really doesn't hold as much weight as a degree. And I'll tell anybody that because I got 6 degrees. So that right there will let you know. Yeah, and I just put that out a little bit, but I just let them know that, you know what? A lot of people became millionaires and even billionaires and have not went to school. So, that's a hard subject to try to sell to today's generation, because if you look at the rappers, okay, you look at the YouTubers, you look at the Instagrammers, they're doing a whole lot, but it's the younger generation that's putting that out there, that making it that way. We didn't have that back then today. We didn't have Instagram. We didn't have YouTube or Twitter or none of that stuff. So it is a very hard thing to sell to them. But what I do let them know is, even in today's society, a degree will get you in the game. You want to get in the game. And without a degree, whether you're doing, the YouTube and all that, you still have to be smart doing that. You have to do research on that too. How do you know how to read a contract? How do you know if you're getting paid right? How do you know, if they're treating you fair? Education would do that for you. So I will tell anyone, education and long-term will help your success along the way.
Yes, sir. Now let's focus on, you mentioned your book that you currently have. I know you have a couple books that's on the way, but let's talk about your, current title of your current book. Where can people find it so that we can be on the same page with you?
Okay, the current title of my current book is My Observation of Bullying and Cyberbullying in Middle Schools, and it's a serious and problematic situation. That's the name of my book that's out now. The reason why I did write that book is because, being a coach, being a mentor, being a military veteran of 24 years, and being an educator, I've seen this a whole lot, coming up. And it's near and dear to me because even when I was a youngster, I've seen kids get bullied a whole lot. They even try to bully me, and my thing is, that is something that's been around for ages. Bullying has been around for ages, but they're taking it to another level now. And the level they didn't have cyberbullying back then. People hide behind the screen now. They don't have to bully you straight in your face. They hide behind, and I call them cowards. So my book is this. My book will let you know about, the detection, prevention, the awareness, the different type of bullying, and also the emotional impact that it has on the victim. That, and it's not just the victim, bullies have problems too, so there's a problem with that. So my book goes deep and inside of all of those different things to let people know that, there are some things that you can do. There are places that you can go. There are ways to detect it and prevent it. And there are ways to deal with it. The first book that I got, which I just told you, is more geared toward professionals. It's geared more toward, college people and, the older generation, professional people. My second book that I have coming out is geared more toward the adults and their kids, so they can sit down and their kids can be able to read the book and go through it without a whole lot of jargon and stuff like that. So that's what my book is about.
Sure. And bullying is something that is is still prevalent, hasn't stopped, hasn't gone nowhere. It's just different forms of bullying that has sort of like evolved into greater entities that can put people to a whole nother level that it's a mind game. That's what it's come to. Right. So it's psychological. It's not the physical part. Back in the day was a physical confrontation. You can run from physical. You can't run from psychological if the doorway for psychological is in front of the screen. And if you are not cognitive of how to handle that type of scrutiny, then you're really not well equipped for the challenges you face. I look at cyberbullying as a professional player playing on the field and a fan tweeting about them or talking about them in such a way. Really, some fans' perception can be kind of a bullying type of mentality when you think about how, listen, if you said person can't shoot, can't throw, totally understand it. That's your perception. But when you start getting more into person's family, things of those type of scrutinies, I think that's when I believe that goes too far. And I think that's something that people see, and you see a lot of it, that people make fun of people in so many different forms and fashions.
And you made an excellent point. That's a very excellent point. And that's one of the reasons why I say, with the cyberbullying, they do that a whole lot because they don't want to be seen. They want to, put, negative things out there about people, but they don't want to be seen. And, now they have it where you can trace what's going on. You can find out who's doing these type things. And it leads, it's terrible. It's very negative, and it's terrible because the ones that's being affected by it, a lot of times they don't talk on it. They don't speak on it. They don't say anything. And it's up to us to be able to know and how to detect what's going on with our kids, and not even just our kids, because bullying is at another level now. Bullying can go all the way up, to the government. It can go in the military. It can go anywhere outside the home. So it's not just about the younger generation. It's everybody that's getting bullied now. So I just wanted to, add my little tidbit on it, with the book that I have. And, a lot of people, they will see that, you know what, bullying is at an all-time high and is at a different level. And we got to be, conscious of, what's going on. So that's one of the reasons why I did that book. And I'm on a crusade with that. So, you're going to be seeing a whole lot, from me when it comes to bullying and stuff like that. I'm working on, some different things that I'm going to put out there and different things that I'm going to do. And I'm definitely going to be able to go out and speak on it. And that's my next thing, to go out and speak on it.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Wilbon, final thing is that you mentioned the youth is sort of like your baby, your heart, to make a difference in the young people's lives. Some people have said that's a lost generation. There's no way you can save this generation who's young. People like myself and younger, there is no hope. And some people have thrown the young things to the side. So just want to let you get an opportunity. How can we save this generation from not making the same pivotal downfalls that the future generations have made on many occasions, in your personal opinion?
I think they need to train. I think they really actually need to sit down and talk to them and train. But the first thing that comes to my mind when you talk about saving a generation is God. They got to put God first, and the parents need to, definitely have their kids, do that. If you upbring them right, in the Lord and, and let them know that all things come through Christ first, that's a great start right there, because a generation wouldn't be lost if they were going to church, if they were learning the word, if they hear about what's going on. They wouldn't be lost. A lot of them wouldn't be. And I think we need to get back to that. And if we get back to that with our kids, starting them off young, and I think that's that's the main thing that they need to do. And, my favorite scripture in the world is Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. And I will let kids know that. And one thing about me, I'm not ashamed to talk about God or let anybody know that I believe in the Lord, because he is my savior. And without him, I couldn't do anything. Even when I'm coaching sports in the whole 9 yards, they took praying out of school. We used to do that back in the day, so things like that is the first thing that come to my mind if you're trying to save a generation. The second thing, like I said, we need to sit down. We actually need to talk to these younger generation and let them know, instead of talk, at them, talk to them, listen to them. I deeply sympathize with them too. And no, everything that they're doing is not right. I don't agree with everything that they're doing. But my thing is, a lot of times we don't listen. We want to talk, but we don't listen. And sometimes if you do that, that may make a difference. And that's another thing that may be able to, what we can do to try to save this generation that's coming up.
Absolutely. Well, we can thank you for your time and patience. For those that are watching, let's reach out. One hand will help the other. Reach out. Don't think about yourself. Let's move it forward. Let's keep God first, and he will heal the land. That's all the time I got. My name is Calvin, the Logan Power Show, nationwide, worldwide. We love you, and we will see you soon.
It's the Logan Power Show. Inspirational and motivational. It's the Logan Power Show. Informational to help you grow. Logan Power Show.